Hello! In this video, we will be sharing in brief details on construction contract. Before we begin, I would like to introduce the team in making this video for our e-learning a complete success. First of all, we are a group of undergraduate students from Universiti Malaysia Sabah, Malaysia. This video is made for our course KA21102 Contract Estimation with the supervision of our respected lecturer, Surveyor Asmawan Mohd Sarman under Engineering Faculty, HK01 Civil Engineering. Our group is called Magic Hammer and the team members are Annabell, Julie, Hie Hong, Raihani and Sahaludin. Now, let's move on with the content.
First of all, a contract is defined by a mutual or legally binding agreement between two parties based on policies and conditions recorded in document form. According to FIDIC, the contract is the general conditions, the supplementary conditions, the specifications, the drawing, the bill of quantities, the tender, the letter of acceptance, the contract agreement, and such further documents as may be expressly incorporated in the letter of acceptance or contract agreement.
There are certain factors affecting choice of contract and some are 1. The ability to introduce changes. 2. The appropriateness for providing an adequate incentive for efficient performance by the contractor. 3. The allocation of risks. 4. The start and completion date of the project. Basically, there are two types of construction contract, namely traditional contract and innovation contract. Under traditional contract, the common types of contract are lump sum contract, bill of quantities contract, cost reimbursement contract and cost plus contract. On the other hand, the common types of innovation contract are design and build contract, turnkey contract, build own operate transfer contract, build lease transfer contract, private finance initiative, and public-private partnership.
What is lump sum contract? Or sometimes it is called drawings and specifications contract. Lump sum contracts is a contract when the contractor agrees to perform a stipulated job of work in exchange for a fixed sum of money. Contractor under lump sum contract is responsible for preparing bill of quantities and completing within the agreed fixed cost set forth in the contract. Payment may stage at intervals of time on the completion of the milestone. There are three variations of lump sum contract. First, drawing and specification. Second, drawing and bill of quantities, and the third one is drawing and schedule of rates. When is the lump sum contract used? It is used in the construction industry to reduce design and contract administration costs. It is also preferred choice when stable soil condition, complete pre-construction studies, and assessment are completed and contractors has analyzed those documents. Here comes the advantages and disadvantages of lump sum contract. The advantages of lump sum contract is first, low risk to the owner. Second, fixed construction cost. Third, minimized change orders. The next one is owner supervision is reduced when compared to time and material contract. Then, the contractor will try to complete the project faster. Last but not least, the contractors will maximize its production and performance. The disadvantages of lump sum contract is first, it presents the highest risk to the contractors. Second, changes are difficult to quantify. Third, the owner might reject change order requests. Next one is the project needs to be designed completely before the commencement of activities. And then, the construction progress could take longer than other contracting alternatives. The last one is the contractors will select its own means and method. What is bill of quantities or unit price contract? Bill of quantities is a contract when items of work of the contract are specified with estimated quantities in the bill of contract. Contractors enter unit price against the estimated quantities work. The contract is based on estimated quantities of work items and unit price for each of these work items. Estimated quantities are usually surveyed by architect or engineer. Payment is made on the basis of unit of work actually done and measured in the field multiplied by the unit price. There are two main variations of bill of quantities contract. First, schedule of rate, and the second one is unit rate. Why or when the bill of quantity is used? It is used to provide a coordinated list of items with identifying description and quantities. Second, it is useful on projects where the nature of the work is well defined, but the quantities of work cannot be accurately determined in advance of construction. It is suitable for highways, dams, or airports construction. The advantages of bill of quantities contract are: first, contractors' estimating risk are considerably lower. Second, the competition is much fair as all contractors are tendering on the same basis. Third, the measurement of quantities allows the total price to be analyzed in great detail, thus providing cost feedback on the job, which in turn can be used statistically in cost planning other work. Fourth, bill of quantities provide the best means of controlling the cost of variations in the contract. The last advantages is the process of measuring quantities before tender is a useful test as to whether what has been drawn and specified can in fact be built. Having someone from a different profession examine the drawings and analyze construction in detail is undoubtedly helpful in identifying problems not apparent at first sight. The disadvantages of bill of quantities contract are: first, contractors can wield the information in the BQ for their own purposes. Second, it leads to more choosy work in comparison of tenders because the scope of works is a variety among the tenderers. Third, it is riskier in terms of both time and cost because the projects are estimated based on overall floor area. Fourth, the valuation of progress payment would be more difficult without detailed information as provided in the BQ. The last disadvantage is there is the tendency of contractor to form a conspire group and bid high for the projects.
Cost reimbursement contract is a contract where the contractor will be reimbursed for all actual cost plus an agreed fee to cover his or her service. The contractor must make all the record and account available for inspection by the client or by some agreed neutral third party. The fee can decide such as fixed percent of the cost work and fixed fee with guaranteed top price, with bonus or with an arrangement for sharing any cost saving. The variation of cost reimbursement contract are first, a fixed fee, second, a fixed fee with percentage of the cost of the work, third, a fixed fee with an arrangement for sharing any cost saving, fourth, a fixed fee with a guaranteed top price, fifth, the fixed fee with bonus. The reimbursement contract is usually used when the risks associated with the work are higher, such as emergency work. The requirements of the client are vast, but client wish to be involved in the contract management. When it is desirable for design to proceed concurrently with construction. The advantages of cost reimbursement contract are: this contract type allows for a simpler procurement statement of work. It usually requires less work to define the scope of the reimbursement contract than for a fixed price contract. A cost reimbursement contract is generally less costly than fixed price because the seller do not have to add as much for risk. Disadvantages of cost reimbursement contract are: this contract type require auditing the seller invoice and more work for the client to manage, and the total price is unknown. Now we move on to cost plus contract. This is a contract where a contractor is paid for all of its allowed expenses to a set limit, plus additional payment to allow for a profit. There are three variations of cost plus contract. First, cost plus with percentage of cost. Second, cost plus with the fixed fee. Third, cost plus with the fixed fee and profit sharing. A cost plus contract might be used when the budget is very restricted or when there is a high probability that actual cost might be reduced. This is most commonly used when the item purchased cannot be explicitly defined, as in research and development, or in case where there is not enough data to accurately estimate the final cost. The advantage of a cost plus contract: first, the contractor will not be able to reduce workmanship. Second, it can focus on quality instead of cost. Third, it could cover all related expenses. Fourth, contractor risk is minimized. Well, it looks like there are some advantages. Be careful, as there are some disadvantages too. Present uncertainty to the project owner because the final cost could not be easily determined. Require additional resources and management to reproduce and justify all related costs. Might lead to disputes when trying to recover construction-related expenses. The project duration could be longer than expected.
A method to deliver a project in which the design and construction services are contracted by a single entity known as the design builder. Design and build contract is mainly used by all types of clients, especially inexperienced ones, and it is usually used for complex projects with high quality design development, but the price is uncertain. Variations of design and build contracts are: design build warranty or DBW, which combines a warranty provision with design build. Design build maintain or DBM, which combines maintenance provision with design build. Privatization. It is a private entity designs, builds and maintains a section of roadway in turn for a toll or fee. The benefits of designed and build contracts are: most of the risk is transferred to the contractor, not to mention the design is in competition. Number 3, there is maximum overlap of design and construction. Number 4, construction expertise available for the design. Number 5. Early commitment to maximum price. Number 6. Less construction information is required from client. The problems with this type of contract are: tendering is expensive to contractors. Design is not fully developed at tender stage, thus uncertain of exact final details until construction is completed. Design liability can be limited. Standards and quality can be difficult to control. Variations can have greater consequence and cost. Usually, only minimum is provided to satisfy employers' requirements. A turnkey contract is one in which an independent agent agrees to furnish materials and labor to finish a project and turn it over to the owner for a fixed price. Turnkey adds to the design builder's responsibilities the operation and/or maintenance of the completed project, and it has the potential for bringing a new project online more quickly. There are 3 forms of turnkey project delivery: Design, Build, Operate, Transfer, or DBOT, Design, Build, Operate, Maintain, or DBOM, Design, Build, Own, Operate, Transfer, or DBOOT. It is used when certain aspects of the design are already defined in the contract, or that the preparation of the design forms the object of a separate preliminary contract. It is also used when the contractor owns the construction of the complete facility which is ready to be operated. The benefits of turnkey contract are: it is possible to accelerate the project since construction can begin even before the design process is completed. The client can benefit from the skills of the constructor earlier in the project. The client can obtain a definite price more rapidly. It is possible to reduce or eliminate the change orders, and fewer disputes are likely to occur, and if they do, will be easier to resolve. However, the downsides of turnkey contract are: sometimes they want specific firms or qualifications, but the lowest price is often the winner. Without detailed checking from a third part, this can be expensive. Where there is not a fixed price, the client has to negotiate the price after hiring a contractor based on design. This way, the contractor makes sure they do not waste money on a proposal design. With turnkey, the client of the project will have a limitation to the amount of influence on design details. Overall, they will have less control over the process. Since client is not part of the construction part and have little verification options, they are exposed in a turnkey. This could result in improper payment and non-conforming work. Build, Own, Operate, Transfer, or BOOT contract is used when a private entity receives a concession from the private or public sector to finance, design, construct, own, and operate a facility stated in the concession contract. This enables the project proponent to recover its investment, operating, and maintenance expenses in the project. The 2 common variations of BOOT contracts are Build, Own, Operate, Transfer or BOT and Build, Own, Operate or BOO. This type of contract is commonly used when a project is financially viable for the private entity if the revenues generated by the project covers its cost and provides sufficient return on investment. Infrastructure projects like highways, roads, mass transit, railway transport, and power generation, and as such, they have political importance for the social welfare. Hence, general public is usually the customer and main source of revenue for the concessionaire. This type of contract is usually favorable because its ability to accelerate the development of projects that would otherwise have to wait for and compete for sovereign resources. Use of private sector capital, initiative, and know-how to reduce project construction cost, shorten schedules, and improve operating efficiency. The involvement of private sponsors and experienced commercial lenders. Technology transfer, the training of local personnel, and the development of national capital markets. However, the drawbacks of this type of contracts usually are transaction costs are very high. They amount up to 5 to 10% of total project cost. Not suitable for smaller projects. The success of BOT project depends upon successful raising of necessary finance. Various costs such as costs of construction, equipment, maintenance should be committed during the life of the project. BOOT projects usually are successful only when substantial revenues are generated during the operation phase.
Build lease transfer contract is when a private organization designs, finances, and builds a facility on leased public land. The two common variations of build lease transfer contract are 1. Build lease operate transfer (BLOT) and build lease manage transfer (BLMT). For its use, it is usually used when the private organization is granted to operate the facility for the duration of the lease and then transfers ownership to the public organization. Like others, there are also advantages and disadvantages of build lease transfer contract. The advantages of BLT contract are 1. Greater mobility of the workforce, that is, the lessees or the renters on the labor market is enabled. Number 2. If the lessee is a legal entity from an administrative activity, the rental is an entirely tax-deductible expenditure, which means that there are significant tax savings. Number 3. The structure becomes the property of the lessee without any fee on the payment of the last rental. Moving on to the disadvantages of BLT contract, they are 1. The model is more complex in the preparation phase since it is necessary to provide preliminary contracts about the lease of the structure before the credit contract, because the credit risk is estimated on the basis of the confirmed demand for the leasing of the structure. Finally, the uncertainty of future regulations related to the payment of real estate transfer tax in the transfer of ownership of a BLT structure to the last lessee exposes the lessee to political risk. Private Finance Initiative, or PFI, is a contracting method of providing funds for major capital investments where private firms are contracted to complete and manage public projects. Under PFI, the private company instead of the government handles the upfront costs. The two common types of private finance initiative contract are 1. Local Improvement Finance Trust, which is usually called as LIFT. And the next one is Building School for the Future, BSF. BFI is mainly used to achieve closer partnerships between the public and private sectors at both central government and local authority levels. There should be advantages and disadvantages to PFI contract. For the advantages, 1. The delivery of an asset which might be difficult to finance conventionally. 2. Encouraging the allocation of risk to those most able to manage them, achieving overall cost efficiencies and greater certainty of success. 3. Delivery to time and price. The private sector is not paid until the asset has been delivered, which encourages timely delivery. PFI construction contracts are fixed-price contracts with financial consequences for contractors if delivered late. Number 4. Encouraging ongoing maintenance by constructing assets with more efficient and transparent whole life costs. Many conventionally funded projects fail to consider whole life costs. And for the disadvantages are: the public sector pays for the risk transfer inherent in private finance contracts, but ultimate risk lies with the public sector. Number 2. Private finance is inherently complicated, which can add to timescales and reliance on advisors. Number 3. Increased commercial risk due to long contract period and high monetary values of contracts. And finally, increased cost of finance since the credit crisis. Public-private partnership contract is when public and private sector parties setting up a joint venture company for a regeneration project, with the parties each contributing one or more of land interest, expertise, or people and funding.
One, it is time savings for devising and managing projects. 2. It focuses on formulating and implementing policy. And lastly, the funding comes from private sector and they are using their expertise for the work.
The two common variations of public-private partnership contracts are 1. Traditional public sector procurement and Design Build Finance Operate DBFO.
The pros. It is a good way of financing expensive projects that might otherwise not be undertaken. It offers better value for money than purely publicly funded endeavors. Next, a reduction of the financial burden on the public fund, which means client can concentrate expenditure on revenue rather than the capital. Next, the risks are greater with private sector and the shift of focus from initial cost to lifetime cost. The cons are 1. It is very complex and lengthy bidding process. 2. High cost for submitting tender. 3. The fear of cost overrun could inhibit innovative inputs in both design and construction. 4. Disparity problems between the private and public sectors in terms of differing modes of operations, decision-making, and accountability. Lastly, the public sector attitude. It can be supportive or otherwise, which can ease or harden the problems.
In summary, there are two types of construction contract, and they are traditional contract and innovation contract. This is the chart showing the traditional and innovation contract. As for the risk, This is a chart on speculated risk on different type of construction contract. That is all for our video presentation on construction contract. Thank you all for watching.